Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Friday Live on this Friday, May. Oh, hang on. I thought I'd change that. Hang on. I'm going to change the date here. That's not right. May 31. All right, let's do that. Okay. Welcome to this Friday Live Q&A on May 31st, 2024. Fiona Lukeis here, coming to you live as I do at approximately this time. It is 11. Oh, it's 11:11. 11:11. Love that number. It's one of my favourite numbers, 11:11. It's 11:11 a.m. here in Melbourne, and I've been starting to do these lives a little earlier than normal because I want to reach some of you guys where it's a lot later there in the US. The US and Canada, those of you in Eastern time where it gets a little bit late for you. So I'm trying to catch some of you who are in the later time zone. So hopefully this is working. As always, I'll give the feed a few minutes to come through. Now, you may notice I have someone in the background. You may hear a chainsaw from time to time. I have someone cutting down some overhanging branches, trees kind of around me. I've moved into an office, which is kind of in the back of my garden, so to speak. It's a gorgeous office. I'm very excited and happy with it. But I've got someone here chopping down branches that are overhanging it and trying to keep it clear. My husband's walking past now, an enormous branch in his hands. Anyway, so if you hear a chainsaw, that is why. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the timing of the live and the chainsaw right. But anyway, it is what it is. So if you hear that, that's what's going on there. Now, you can probably hear the chainsaw. There it is right now. Sorry about that, guys. So obviously, you know, when I come live with you every Friday, I'm generally drawing on recurring themes that have come up during the week, or questions that have been sent in to me, or things that I've seen with my personal clients. And obviously I'm here to answer any questions that you have, any questions that you send in to me. So if you do want to send in a question and have that answered, questions can be answered anonymously. So, you know, if you just send in a paragraph or two explaining your situation, I will do my best to answer it. I don't need to mention your name, so it can be done quite confidentially. If you do want to send me a question, you can send it to hello@fionalukeis.com.au. I will type that here. And I will do my best to answer it the next time that I go live. hello@fionalukeis.com.au. So you can send questions to me there. And obviously, if you are live, you can pop questions in the chat box below. If you do have a question that you want me to answer, pop it in as soon as you can so I can make sure I get to it during the live. And sorry, I've got someone chainsawing. For those of you who just arrived, I've got someone doing some cutting down some trees that are hanging over my office, and so there's a bit of a sound of a chainsaw and people dragging logs past, if you can hear that. Hey John, thanks for your question. Anyone else who wants to say hi, please do. I'll always love to know where you're listening from and you know where you are, so appreciate that. Sorry about that chainsaw if you can hear it. Where does your gut feeling come from? So a gut feeling, you know, there's a lot of research now that can show the connection between our gut, our heart, and our brain. So they're now calling our gut our third brain, right? And so that gut feeling comes from intuition, from wisdom, from it. To me, the gut is where the divine meets the human, right? So when we get that gut feeling, often a gut feeling is something that has no necessary logical reason to it. Do you know what I mean? Like, for example, you might meet someone. So an example of something that doesn't have logical reason might be you meet someone, I don't know, at a social gathering or at work, and they're saying all the right things, but your gut is saying to you, I'm not sure about this person. I don't know what it is, but I'm not trusting this. So it can come from a number of things. It often comes from the energy that someone is bringing. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. So it comes from the energy that someone's bringing. Remember, we're always reading someone's energetic blueprint before we're reading them. 100%, whether we're cognizant of it or not. So we're picking up on the energy that someone is bringing. And I was having a conversation about this with someone yesterday, and I want to talk about that a little bit more today. So your gut feeling is often coming from the energy that someone's bringing. It's coming from that sense of self, our higher self, for want of a better word, or wisdom, or whatever word you want to call that, the intelligence behind life. It's coming from our spiritual self, our more of our bigger mind, not our personal mind, but our bigger mind. Sorry if you can hear that chainsaw. Like I said, I'm getting a few branches cut down around my office today. It's often coming from those places, and it's very important that you develop a relationship with this. This is very, very, very important. I often find that people who struggle the most have the greatest level of suffering, so to speak, or overthinking or anxiety, do not have a great relationship with that aspect of themselves. Okay, they're used to being in their logical mind all the time, and they're relying on that mainly, like most of the time, the majority of the time, for information that they're receiving. And we're so out of balance when we do that. And this is very problematic in our relationships, because when we're in our logical mind most of the time, we're using logic and reason to understand something that lies outside of logic and reason. Emotions lie outside of logic and reason. Connection lies outside of logic and reason, right? And it's very important that we're able to step into both, and that we have a healthy relationship with both. And so, this is why I talk about, when it comes to relationships, there are those three key areas. There's your relationship with you, your relationship with life, and your relationship with others. Now, when you don't have a great relationship with that other aspect of yourself, whatever word you want to use, there are so many different words to use to describe that. Pick whatever word works for you. The language really isn't the most important thing. It's what it points to. So when you don't have a great relationship with that, you're far too reliant on logic and reason. And that is not a great thing. It's not where emotional intelligence comes from. It's not where compassion comes from. It's not where curiosity comes from. Because when we're relying on logic and reason only, or the majority of the time, we get very rigid and we become very black and white. And when it comes to emotions and connection and understanding of self and others, logic and reason aren't the greatest avenues for information. Okay, so when we're out of whack, we overthink, we take things personally, we try and apply rules, we struggle to step inside somebody else's reality, we struggle to have access to curiosity, we're not very compassionate, we tend to be judgmental, and we can really go to that place very, very quickly. People who have a great relationship with their gut, so I'm answering John's question here, we're talking about gut feeling. There's there's so many words for that: intuition, wisdom, the higher intelligence behind life. There's so many words to describe that. Like I said, it's not so much the words, but when you don't have a great relationship with that, you really struggle, right, with your relationship with self, your relationship with life, okay, because this is a big part of your relationship with life, which then flows down to your relationship with others. So, it's really interesting. I'm noticing, in particular, more and more people are looking to connect with that more, because they're realizing they're missing something. They're realizing that they don't feel as connected as they would like. They're realizing that that there's just something missing, and they can't quite put their finger on it. And it is absolutely a huge part of that is this connection. Now, some of you are going to listen to this and go, oh, that's woo-woo, right? Some of you are. But, this is, I think, a bit of a problem in the fact that this is being put into that box. This is an essential part of who we are. It's part of our nature. It's part of our identity. It's in everyone. No one is separate from this. We can feel separate from it, but it is a huge part of who we are. And when you connect into it, everything becomes easier. And I mean everything. And in fact, the greatest, one of the greatest, okay, impacts of that is we put down mental load. Okay, mental load is so debilitating and exhausting. And when your head is full, when people have too much mental load, we are really bad at emotions, connection, conversations, communicating, handling life when it hits. We don't get over things. We get stuck in the past. We start worrying about the future. We look for control for the answer, none of which is great for our relationships, okay? And I see this as really an epidemic, right? I know that sounds like a dramatic word, but it is. People with way too much mental load, and then they're struggling to function, okay? And I think the answer is to control something more, to make things okay out here. Does that make sense? But really, your ability to put down mental load changes everything. Like, I cannot tell you how important this is. To me, this is one of the most misunderstood, underappreciated keys of well-being, of being great at relationships, relationship success, turning things around, is people being able to put down mental load. Without mental load, your world shrinks. Without mental load, when you have too much mental load, your world shrinks. When you have too much mental load, your ability to get over things, get over yourself, to let go of something, to try on something else, to relax, to be playful, to change your mind, right? Things like that is so limited. And it has such a toxic effect on you and everything around you. This is just so, so, so important. So, and there are just people carrying way, 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 way too much mental load. And because it's become normalized, they've got no idea. They've just got really no idea. And so it's nobody's fault. It's not that anyone's doing anything wrong. It's just that we have normalized this to the point now, just like we normalize stress, to the point that people go, well, that's just the way things are. And I'm telling you, it's not the way things are. That is not our natural state. Stress is not our natural state. Enormous mental load is not our natural state. It is not where we're meant to be living, and it is not where we live our best lives from. Even if you've got every box ticked out here, if you have a lot of mental load, you will not be living your best life. You will find life difficult. Hey, Rick. Oh, it's so lovely to see you. Hi, Fiona. You're creating great ripples, if not waves of love. Oh, thank you, Rick. I so appreciate that. There's such a massive intention of mine, is to create ripples of love. Like, truly, that is such a massive intention of mine. So I take that as the highest compliment. If you can see that, I truly do. That means the world to me. That's all I want to do, and create as many of those as possible. I'm so at peace and really experiencing love of life. Thank you for listening back when. You're so welcome, Rick. You're so welcome. So in saying that, so thank you so much. Oh, Deezer. Oh, thank you, darling. I'm living in your ripple. Oh, thank you. I'm going to start crying in a second. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So in saying that, bless your cotton socks. I do love you, Deezer and Rick. Oh, love you all, actually. That is just something that I do. I regularly say this to my clients. I regularly say this to my relatable students. I regularly tell them that I love them. I do. I'm very open about this, and I mean it. I really, really mean it. And we need to tell each other that more often. I met up with just on a side note, but I think it relates to what the question John asked. And if you do have a question, please ask it in the comments. Hey, Jane, thank you so much, honey. I really appreciate you saying that. I caught up with Anthony Breslin yesterday, who is the artist who created the frog and a number of other things. And I love him dearly. I do. I love him dearly. So much. And you know, one of the things we were talking about, and I wanted to share this with you, Christine, yes, you do tell your students, I love you too, Fiona. Oh, thank you, Christine. I love you, honey. Yes, I do. See, I'm not making this stuff up. I do tell my students this. I was chatting with him. Now, Anthony is someone who has terminal cancer, has leukemia, he has done for a number of years. He's been living with this for a number of years. He lost his twin brother to cancer, would you believe? And I think within 6 months of losing his brother, he got diagnosed with the exact same thing. And it's always very humbling when I spend time with him. Very humbling. And we caught up yesterday afternoon, and he was sharing with me how whenever he's walking down the street, people come up to him and say hi. And he said it drives the people that I'm with crazy, because I'm like, how do you know that person? And Anthony's like, well, I don't know that person, but I know that person wants to be seen. I know human beings want to be seen. People want to be seen. And he was sharing, and so he said, I see people and I acknowledge them. And he said, there's a number of reasons for this. And the reason this conversation started, and I wanted to share it with you because I think this is very, very important, is because we were sitting down, and I'd ordered us a coffee or whatever. And the lady who served me, I thought was just gorgeous. She was delightful. She had a beautiful energy. And I remember thinking, oh, what a beautiful person. I'm so glad that I got to, that she took my order. Like, she is just a doll. She's just a sweetheart, right? And Anthony was sitting at the table. He didn't even know that I'd felt this way. I had this interaction, and I didn't even think. I thought about it in my head, but I didn't think more about it. So we sat down and we're talking, and she brings our coffees over, and she's just gorgeous. Like, she's just got the sweetest, most loveliest energy. And Anthony said it. He said, you have just got beautiful energy. Wow. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Thank you. I really appreciate you. And she lit up. And she said, oh, thank you. I do love working here. And he said, it really shows. And I looked at Anthony and I said, wow. I said, this is the difference. I said, I thought that, but it never occurred to me to say it. You said it. I said, you said it. I said, I just learned something. I don't know why I didn't say it. I thought it, but it didn't occur to me to verbalize that to her. But I absolutely felt the exact same way you did. And he said, well, I always, Fiona, because people want to be seen. People need to be seen. And he shared a story about a man who is a physio of his that has now retired. They've known each other for many years. And they now catch up for coffee. And the physio is in his 70s now. And he said, you know, Anthony, it's so interesting. When we get to a certain age, people become invisible in society because, you know, society is attracted to youth and beauty. And when people get old and when or they're disabled or they don't show up in a way that we're kind of conditioned to appreciate, we don't see them. And he said, I look at my wife, my beautiful wife, who's, I think he said 75. And every day she gets up and she does her hair and she does her makeup and she gets dressed because she wants to be seen. And he said, and nobody sees her. I got really, I'm actually getting teary as I even say this to you. And he said, nobody sees her. And I watch my wife not be seen. And Anthony shared this with me. And he said to me, I want everybody to be seen, Fiona. And he said, and it touched me so deeply. I could still touch me, that conversation. And I sat there and I thought, what can I do to make sure people are seen? To have someone walk down the street and be seen. And it's such a simple thing. It's meeting someone's eyes. It's smiling at them. It's saying hi. It's thanking them. It's acknowledging something. You know, maybe it might be that they look beautiful or that they have amazing, whatever it is. But, you know, it's interesting because Anthony said, you know, I was at the library with a friend the other day, and we were looking up something, and he said there was this stunningly beautiful woman sitting a couple of tables away, and she had the most amazing eyes. Her eyes just really blew my mind. And he said, I thought they were amazing. And so I called out to her a couple of times because I thought, I have to tell her. I said, you have the most amazing eyes. And he said, I can say this to a woman because I know that she can feel energetically, I don't want anything from her because I'm saying that. I'm not looking for something. I'm just acknowledging what I see, but I'm not looking for anything from her. I'm not saying that to get something. He said, most people say things to get something. And he said, I don't want anything. I just want someone to be seen. I don't want anything. And he said, now, Fiona, because Anthony has a lot of suffering in terms of his health, a lot of suffering. He's in a lot of pain a lot of the time, in many ways. And I won't go into what all of that is, but, he's only a few years older than me, but looks 20 to 25 years older than me, because of the cancer and the drugs and everything that he's gone through. He was saying, I have a lot of suffering, as you know, Fiona. And he said, the greatest way I know to ease my suffering is to be of service to somebody else. Because when I'm of service to somebody else, I'm not thinking about myself. I'm not thinking about my pain. I'm not thinking about my suffering. And so he said, I guess when I'm walking down the street, I see people, I acknowledge people a lot because I'm always looking at one of the things as well is I'm always looking for a way to escape my suffering. And he wasn't saying this from a place of victimhood or looking for anything from me. It was just being really matter of fact about it. And I guess the conversation moved me so deeply, and I've been reflecting and thinking on it ever since. Like, what does that mean for me? Right? Because these are the ripple effects, right? When someone shares something with you that moves you, that touches you, there's a reason why you've heard that conversation. Right? It's not an accident that you've heard that. It's not an accident that someone has shared that with you. It's been shared with you for a reason, right? It always has. There's always a higher purpose to things if we care to look. And so that's a gift. I've just been given a gift, and I always get given gifts when I spend time with Anthony. I've been given a gift, and I knew instantly one of the reasons it was shared with me was so that I could share it with you. Because everything I do is about ripples. Everything I do. Like, I love it when my students experience a transformation within themselves, or they have a profound insight, or something shifts or lightens. Like, I do. I love that. I love that. It's a wonderful, beautiful thing. And what I also love is when they say, as they share with me how they are now showing up differently with this person, how it's now rippling effect out from them like a fan, because we are so much more powerful than you can ever possibly imagine. And so I've taken that from Anthony and I'm sharing it with you. People want to be seen. Now, we're so busy in our heads. We're so busy-minded. We're thinking about what we're going to cook for dinner, what we're doing on the weekend, all the different balls and things that are there. But I just want to say to you all, just take some time to have someone be seen that you wouldn't normally acknowledge or notice, because that's what creates ripple effects. And it can be the simplest thing. It's a smile. It's a compliment. It's an acknowledgement. It might be, hey, I so appreciate the way you did that for me. Or like what Anthony said, which was so obvious. Wow, you've got such great energy, because this woman did. She was just gorgeous. It's just this bubbly, beautiful soul. It was pouring out of her. And I thought, that's my intention, right? It's fresh in my mind. I want people to be seen. And I want to see whatever I can to dial that up, right? So these are the ripple effects of what we can do. So maybe that's the case with a relationship you're in at the moment, right? Maybe there's someone in your life that you could dial that up with, so that they feel seen, so that they feel appreciated. Maybe there's something in a person, right? Whether it be your intimate partner or a child or a friend or a parent or a sibling, loved one, where you could just turn that up, right? Or maybe it could be a complete stranger down the street. I just want you to ask yourself that. Where could I turn that up so someone is seen? Because here's what I want you to understand. What do you think happens when someone who's not normally seen is seen? What do you think happens? And you can get a sense of that because you can imagine it for yourself. What would happen for me, right? The complete stranger walked up and said, "Wow, you look stunning today." And they're saying it with not wanting something from me. It's not icky. They're not hitting on me. They're not, do you know what I mean? They're just saying it because they want to be of service. How would you feel if someone said that to you or someone acknowledged something in you where you felt seen? Now imagine what that does for your well-being, for your energy, for your vibe, for everything. Right? This is the difference, right? We genuinely feel more generous of heart, generous of spirit, generous of everything. And then we share that out. We give that out. We give it to the next and the next and the next. And that's how we raise the whole. It's very simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. Okay. But if there's someone close to you that you haven't done that with for a while, and maybe you're stuck in that, well, why should I? They haven't been nice to me. They don't deserve it. Maybe you've got that rhetoric going on. Put it down, please. It's just your ego. It's judgment. Okay. That's blocking love. Put it down and really, right, have a look at what could you do so that someone else feels seen? And for no other reason than you just want to give something to someone. You want to contribute. You want to be of service. Not because you're trying to get something back. Not because you want them to say the same to you. None of that stuff. Just because you just want to be of service and contribute. I'm going to look at some of these questions. Hey, Rick, you saw yourself in that lovely lady. Oh, thank you. Trust me, you're doing it. I always look for the best in people and acknowledge that in them. People glow, don't they? Isn't it beautiful when you see a person glow? It's just, yeah, absolutely beautiful. Deezer, the gift you gave me is that I share this wisdom with others who are suffering from addiction. So grateful. Oh, I'm so thrilled to hear that, Deezer, honey. I really, really am. Oh, thank you, Rick. Anthony has also been given a loving gift in you. Oh, thank you. That's very kind. Thank you. I do appreciate that. I hope that this is making sense. If anyone else has a question around what I'm sharing here, like if you're struggling with something in life, and many of us are, okay, many of us are struggling with something. The greatest way to ease that for yourself is to be of service to somebody else. Truly, it is to be of service in service to somebody else. It's a beautiful place to live your life from. And it really transforms. It really does. Even if it's just for a few moments, your struggle, because what you are doing is generating love. And this is why love is the most powerful force on the planet. It absolutely is. Nothing can touch it. Nothing. And I think it's a really great thing that we start normalizing this stuff. We start normalizing this. Okay? This has to be normalized. This is just the way things are. And what I mean by normalized is, well, of course I'm going to be of service to somebody else. Well, of course I'm going to contribute to someone else. Of course, if the greatest thing that people are looking for, and tell me it is, people want to be seen, is that you contribute and you do that to one person, the ripple effects of that will go on and on and on to places you can't even imagine. And it doesn't require much. Okay, it's a smile, it's a look, it's a compliment, it's a softness in your energy. We just take the time for another human being to be felt. That doesn't make sense, does it? To have the feeling of being seen. Okay, so I wanted to share that because that was that really has been sitting with me ever since my catch up yesterday. But I wanted to. There was a question that was sent into me, or that was asked on last week's live that I said I would answer today, and that was sent by Kelly. Actually, you know what? I think I've just answered this question. But anyway, Kelly Duffy sent this question in, and I'm mentioning her name because she posted the question publicly last week. What's the best practice or tool you have to connect with self? Right? What's the best practice or tool you have to connect with self? The best practice or tool I have to connect with self is absolutely being of service to others. When I am of service to others, I'm absolutely connected. We are connected. I'm very connected to myself. Okay. I'm not in my ego. The ego struggles to be of service because the ego will come up with all the reasons why, oh, I can't smile at that person. They might freak out. What if they don't smile back? That's the ego, right? I can't just give that person a compliment. That would be weird. I'm not very good at that kind of stuff. This is all, see, the ego struggles to be of service. The ego will come up with all the reasons why. And so you are very much connected to self when you are of service, very much. You're also connected to self when you're in nature. There's something about nature that's very grounding and calming, and it slows our mind down because nature operates at a speed. Okay, and in order to connect with nature, you have to operate at the same speed. So there's a difference, right, between going for a walk and exercising. So there are people, and I've done this myself. I'll go for a walk and I'm exercising and I'll power walk around the block, or I'll power walk, and I'll come home and I'll be like, oh, I got my 10,000 steps in, or I exercised, right? And that'll be as much as I got from the walk. And then there'll be the walk where I notice how beautiful the trees are, or how much things have grown, or what's happening to the foliage, the ground. I'll have smiled at people. I'll have, you know what I mean? Like, in other words, I've noticed my surroundings. Now, in order to notice my surroundings, I've had to slow down mentally to the speed of nature, right? Now, as I do that, because I am nature, you are nature. We're not separate to nature. You understand that, right? We are an intrinsic part of nature. We like to think we're separate to nature, which I find hilarious, but we are nature. We're completely like, I am nature, you are nature. This is it. We're all made from the same stuff, and we all come from the same place. Okay. And now this has been proven at a cellular level, by the way. We're all made of the same stuff, and we all come from the same place. This has been scientifically proven. I'm not just making this stuff up. So, as you notice and you're aware of your surroundings, you cannot do that without slowing down to meet the speed of nature. Okay. And nature has a speed. And another word for that is the speed of love, right? Love has a speed. Okay, to be present and in a loving state of mind, it's only got one speed. Okay, now for you to be moved or touched by something, you're now operating at that speed. But most of us are going so fast, we don't notice the ordinary. We don't notice the simple. We don't notice those things, and so we don't feel so moved. We don't feel so touched by things. So if you're someone who hasn't been moved or touched by life recently, then you need to go do that, right? You need to go fill your cup. It's very, very important and very good for our relationships, by the way. All of this stuff is brilliant for our relationships. Really, it is. I know that, and I want to just acknowledge something in the moment. There's a lot of conversation about attachment styles out there at the moment. They're the new big buzzword. There's always buzzwords with stuff, right? It's just another way of describing something. We all have different ways of finding a label for something, and we all get excited by those things. And look, I find attachment styles interesting. I do. But I want to put a but here. If I was feeling disconnected from my husband and I wanted to connect, learning about attachment styles versus slowing down to the speed of love, right? Slowing down, being present, having less mental load, that is going to have a far greater impact because it's going to change my energy. It's going to change what I see. It's going to change the feeling I'm in and what I generate. That will have a far, far, far greater impact than me learning something interesting, like an interesting piece of information, right? And so it's very, very important that we understand the things that really move the needle. Okay, and to me, those are the differences between building a relationship from the bottom up versus the top down. And I know many of you have heard me talk about this, building a relationship from the bottom up versus the top down. But to me, that's the difference. When you understand the foundations of how human beings work, of what moves us, of love, of the things that are universally true. And there are things that are universally true. So something that is universally true is something that applies to everybody all of the time. So this is what I teach. This is what I'm interested in teaching. This is what I want to teach. I want to teach universal truth because I want to teach something that applies to everybody, not some people some of the time, right? I want to teach something that applies to everybody because that has the biggest chance of creating those ripples that I find so beautiful out there in the world. It's like, it doesn't matter who I teach this to, whether you are male or female, whether you are young or in the latter years of your life or midlife, whether you are wealthy or not so wealthy, whether you're educated, it doesn't matter. There are things that are just universally true. And because of that, they impact people. Now, people who are moved and impacted create ripples. They're really good at being of service to others. They're able to put their ego down. They get really good at getting over themselves, okay? And they show up really differently. Now, we all have that capacity. Everybody does. This is the intrinsic beauty of a human being and what I see in everybody, irrespective of what's happened in their past. This is what I see in everybody. It's right there because we are more the same than we are different. Okay, well, everybody, hey, Susie. No, there's those Susie Reynolds love hearts that you are so famous for. Thank you, Deezer. It's amazing and true. It is. It's true. This is to me where the rubber meets the road. Okay, this is what it's all about. So, look, I want to thank everybody. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be here next week. Just because I might be, I don't know yet. I don't know how this is going to go. Like, I'm really stepping outside of my comfort zone here, but I've booked myself to. I'm attending a book writing retreat next week, and I'm writing my book that I've been wanting to write for years and years, and I've played around with and written bits and pieces of. So I've blocked the week out, and I'm writing this book at this in this retreat. So I don't know if I'll be here. I might be. I'll let you know if I am. It depends on how the book's going. It starts on Monday, and we are writing until the following Sunday. So it's going to be really outside of my comfort zone, big time for me. So because I'm more of a talker, as you can see, I love to talk. I can just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. But I really want to put this down into book form, and I've had this idea in my head for so long. It's just time. It's just time. So that's what I'll be doing next week. So we'll see. Thank you, Susie, Deezer, and thank you, Christine. I do appreciate your words of encouragement. Let's see where we end up at the end of next week. So if the book's going well and the writing's going well, I'll be here next Friday live. But if I get stuck in my head, we'll see. Oh, thank you, everyone. It will pour out of you. Bestseller coming up. Thanks, Craig. We'll see. I don't know about that, but we'll see. There are definitely things I want to share, and a lot of people are always asking me if I have a book. So yep, I'm doing it next week. I've committed to this thing starting Monday morning. Thanks, Jane, so much. So appreciate that. For those of you who want to know more about Relatable, you can send me an email, or you can book a chat with me. If you want to find out more about it, you're very welcome. You can do that here. Relatable's awesome. It's my great love and joy. I just so love what we create within that program. It's just amazing. So if you want to know or you want to join, This is where I teach all of this stuff. You can book a chat with me there. Otherwise, if the book's going well, I'll be here next Friday. I'll let you know. Thank you so much for your encouragement, everybody. I will need this next week. There are definitely going to be moments where I'm going to be going, why did I do this? Okay, everyone, have a great day. I will see you soon. Okay, ciao.